let's start off with Chet with the 107. So let's go to the number one pick. Just a couple of things here. This was based off the 8-team league and also full PPR. So let's go through the first 5 rounds. Number one, I think you're going to be pretty happy if this guy falls all the way down to your spot, and it's going to be Tyreek Hill, the wide receiver of the Miami Dolphins. I have no idea how he fell all the way to number 6. What happened in our draft? Probably not. There's probably like a 2% chance it happens. But Tyreek Hill, you saw him last year. He was one of the best wide receivers in fantasy football, and he's just really consistent, and he's paid. So he's not going to be going off the field or doing anything else. So he's going to be locked into this Miami Dolphins offense. So, I mean, if you can grab Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, one of these top wide receivers, you really got to feel good about yourself for getting Tyreek Hill once again. So you start off with Tyreek Hill, and then round number 2, give you a running back from the Philadelphia Eagles. He's on a new team, Saquon Barkley. I have Barkley as my number 3 running back, so I'm pretty confident that he's got all the talent. He was just missing a good offensive line. The Giants' offensive line just couldn't really do too much. The Eagles, one of the best offensive line in the league, and you have the weapons around him. Had one of the best quarterbacks coming into the season. I just think that Saquon Barkley, you're going to see the Saquon Barkley of Penn State days this season. So really good. And you look at the running backs in PPR, you also want a guy that can get you some catches out of the backfield. Saquon can definitely do that. Now we have our running back. Let's get another one since you already have Tyreek Hill.
Might as well.
To Kansas City with this one, Isaiah Pacheco. And this man, he just really consistent producer here. And you really look at this Kansas City Chiefs backfield, I just don't really see him taking any carries from him. So I think that this is going to be the Isaiah Pacheco show once again. And the Chiefs, get him in round 3. I think that's a steal. Let's go to round number 4, give you a wide receiver. And there's a lot of questions.
Pittsburgh Steelers. Guy. He is on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Is he on the Pittsburgh Steelers?
It was announced right before we went live.
Okay, well, he's going to be on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I still like Brandon Ayuk because it's a very good fit for him in Pittsburgh. I think that he automatically becomes the wide receiver number 1. I've never been much of a fan of George Pickens. I know that he's always a wide receiver in fantasy that's boom or bust. Brandon Ayuk, I mean, I feel like every game he's putting up double digits. He says San Francisco 49ers, but I guess he's going to Pittsburgh. Going to a new offense there. So you still know who's going to be the quarterback. Will it be Justin Fields? Will it be Wilson? It's pretty much a 50-50, but I do like the talent of Brandon Ayuk there. And then rounding out the number 5, let's go for quarterback. And I feel like, I always like to stack players. We already have Isaiah Pacheco. Why not get his quarterback?
I like it.
Mahomes. If you're pretty much getting all the points that the Chiefs are getting. You're either getting touchdowns from Pacheco or Mahomes is slinging that rock to either Travis Kelce or Xavier Worthy. So that is your all-around picks from the 107. So how do you feel about this team?
If this happens, I'm winning a championship. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's just what it is. So, I mean, that's a dub squad right there. Watch out, everybody.
Yeah, I would say myself, that's a pretty good squad. All right, let's go on to Wade's pick at the 106. Pretty good turnaround from Freddie. He went to the toilet bowl to having himself in the back end of this draft. Let's start it off with wide receiver. And it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver and Jamar Chase. You had Justin Jefferson last year. Didn't work out for you with Jefferson last year with injuries. But Jamar Chase, there's just something about this Bengals offense, especially with Joe Burrow. He's just going to have all the targets to himself. I just don't think there's going to be much competition. We'll see about T. Higgins. There's still some question marks about the running back spot, with Zach Moss and Chase Brown. And I think you're going to like me this one. You not only get one wide receiver, but you get 2 with Justin Jefferson and with a wide receiver, the Minnesota Vikings. So you get two of your LSU boys on your roster. You run it back with Justin Jefferson. No, I said I'm not too high on J.J. McCarthy, but you can't really pass up on a talent. I mean,
just going to say he's not letting me take him because he's going to take him right before.
There's not a chance in hell if I have the 7th pick when that thing turns around and Justin Jefferson's sitting there that I'm not taking him.
Well,
just throwing that out there.
In this one, he did. But
I'm probably taking Tyreek Hill.
But
And this one, Justin Jefferson. I mean, if he get falls all the way around too, I mean, you just got to click the draft button and not look back. So let's go on now to round number 3. You already have your top 2 wide receivers. You're pretty much can sit a while at wide receiver. You're going to be set for the whole entire season. Let's go down to the running back position. Let's go with Joe Mixon for the running back of the Houston Texans. I know that this is a crowded backfield. You have Damian Pierce, but I think that this is going to be the Joe Mixon show. I mean, they got the man for a reason. He's going to be their running back 1, and he was honestly one of the most underrated running backs in fantasy football.
Yeah,
he's
he's
always sneaky,
way better
top
than
15, always consistent, and that's what you want in fantasy is consistency. So I think that Joe Mixon is going to provide that in this high-powered offense. Let's give you another running back, a guy that has a lot of upside, Devon Achane, another crowded backfield with Raheem Mostert. But, I mean, Devon Achane, whenever he was healthy, he's a PPR monster. He had a couple of games where he had 50, 40 fantasy points. So as long as he's healthy, I think that this Miami Dolphins offense is going to be one of the best in the AFC once again. So a lot of upside for that. And he's also a young, talented back. And you get him around 4. I mean, there's not too much to say about that. And let's end it off with round number 5 with Cooper Kupp, wide receiver, Los Angeles Rams. Something tells me that this is going to be the Cooper Kupp that we saw a couple years back when he was just putting up numbers. You have Puka Nacua. I feel like everyone's like going to put their top cornerback and just forget about Cooper Kupp. He's coming off an injury, but reports out of training camp is that Cooper Kupp is back to himself. And I think something tells me that Cooper Kupp's going to have a real big season. He's going to be he's going to be a sneaky top 10 wide receiver to finish off this season. And that is your picks from the 106.
Yeah, I'd be ecstatic to get Achane and Cup. Those are 2 guys I'm feeling pretty high on. I mean, people got to remember that Nacua slid into the Cooper Kupp role. They are not just going to leave him there. I mean, it's going to return to balance a little bit. Yeah, if I was able to get those 2 guys to start, that'd be pretty incredible. But just to get one of them at the 106 would be great.
Yeah, let's go now to the 105. So we'll continue on with our back-to-back draft picks here. And
there you go.
Yep, number 1 pick is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown, the wide receiver for the Detroit Lions. I was all in on him last year. I'm all in on him once again. This Lions offense is going to be really good. Pretty much the same offense at the running back. That's all right. They were a pretty good offense last year, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, lock him in as the top 5 fantasy wide receiver once again. I mean, he's just a target share monster, and he's definitely going to get a lot of touchdowns for this Lions offense. So, I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown in the first round, that just feels just like a boom pick for me. And let's go now to round number 2. Going to give him another wide receiver, A.J. Brown. So you have 2 of the Browns going off the board here with the wide receiver of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's just also a monster. I think that this Eagles offense is also going to be a pretty good offense. That's pretty much all your players to beat from a really good offense. That's what the Eagles are going to provide. Brown coming off a terrific fantasy season. He was a second-round pick last year. I mean, I could even see him sneaking to round number 1. But, yeah, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, this is just a 1-2 punch that you have on that Eagles offense. So that's a pretty good wide receiver start. Now let's get him a running back. I mean, if you know where my head's going in this one, Isaiah Pacheco once again coming off the board. Another consistent running back, and then Joe Mixon. And so, yeah, you can pretty much see where I want to be going in the running back. So with Pacheco and Mixon in the middle rounds. And let's finish it off with DJ Moore, the wide receiver. I mean, DJ Moore had himself a heck of a fantasy season, and he had a terrible quarterback pretty much the whole entire season. Now he gets Caleb Williams. There is, you do have better wide receivers to deal with DJ Moore. They added Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen. But DJ Moore, I mean, he's really been consistent, even with the terrible teams that he's been on with the Panthers and the Bears. So I think that this Bears offense is going to take a step forward. So I like this and ending off their first 5 rounds with DJ Moore. So, boys, what do you think about those 5 picks?
So I guess I'm just a little confused. I'm assuming this was a different draft. Because
yes.
I would say I thought I had Pacheco. But no, I think at a 105, this is great. Amon-Ra at 5.
This is just setting up for everybody sniping me of Pacheco and Mixon in the real draft, like always.
yeah, really. I think it's good picks there, Tyler.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty realistic. And if A.J. Brown's a guy that not a lot of people are talking about, and even if you go get one of the top running backs, like say you got Breece Hall or something in the first round, I think if he consistently goes into second round, AJ Brown is a guy that I'd be confident being my wide receiver 1. So to be able to pair him with a Amon-Ra or a Jamar or someone like that, that'd be pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty unbeatable there. So now we've really knocked out the later end of the draft and the middle of the draft. Now let's go to the early draft of the 102 here. And we're going to do another wide receiver. The guy in front of me picked CMC. So we're going to go with CeeDee Lamb. I think if you're at the pick number 2, it's either between CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill. Really just depend on what wide receiver that you like. But I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb, though. I just feel like they're just less mouse to feed in this Dallas Cowboys offense. He's just going to get all the targets. He had a real good season last year with Dak Prescott in this offense. So I just think that CeeDee Lamb, he's going to continue to be one of the elite wide receivers in this league. So we got one of our best wide receivers. Let's go with the king of Derrick Henry. I feel like Matt Jones has always taken Derrick Henry. I think it's time for somebody else to get him. So I think that Derrick Henry, much better offense. And then he also gets a really good offensive line with the Baltimore Ravens. You do have to worry about Lamar Jackson carrying it in there. But, I mean, if this team gets inside like the 5, it's going to be the Derrick Henry show. So you don't have to lie too much on his touchdowns. His age is old in the running back terms. He is getting up there in age. But we say that every season, and Derrick Henry just continues to be Derrick Henry. So don't really over question it. Draft, he's still the man that he was. So feel confident taking Derrick Henry, especially in the round number 2. I think that's a really good pick and a value pick, especially if you can get one of these top wide receivers. Let's go now with another running back. Travis Etienne of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Etienne also coming off a really good fantasy season, especially from 2 years back when he was up and down. We talked about Trevor Lawrence inconsistencies, but you really didn't see it with Etienne. He's a really good pass catching back. He's a really good runner between the tackles. So I think that Etienne is going to have himself another great season. To get him in round number 3, I think you just got to do it. Let's go to round number 4, get DK Metcalf, the wide receiver of the Seattle Seahawks. I think he's an underrated wide receiver, and to get him round 4, I think that's also a great value pick there too. I just think that he's honestly really the wide receiver 1. It's not really close. I know you have Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's probably going to be the wide receiver 2. You're probably going to see a little bit of a drop-off with Tyler Lockett this season. He's coming off of a not so great of a season 2. And a round off, which I think that this is a really good draft. Give me the best quarterback, Jalen Hurts, to finish off this. And honestly, if I have this roster, y'all are screwed.
I like the DK pick in round 4. That's a steal.
Yep.
Right there.
And ETN in round 3 is pretty solid too. And I think Derrick Henry on the Ravens is a great fit because they're a team that's committed to the run. And I think it's going to keep Lamar a little healthier and less banged up.